Korea protesting new sanctions. North Korea state media saying the country sent a letter to the U.S. Congress over a House bill to impose tougher sanctions, calling them, quote, a heinous act against humanity. Here now is Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, host of the War Stories and a Fox News military analyst. What do you make of this story?
Well, of course, this letter precedes just by a few moments the news that Vladimir Putin is now offering to help deal with the North Korean nuclear and ICBM problem. Look, the letter from the Foreign Affairs Committee of the so-called Supreme People's Assembly objects to the May 4th near-unanimous vote in the U.S. House of Representatives to impose new sanctions against any companies doing any business with North Korea. It also bars shippers from making port calls in North Korea from entering U.S. ports. The House vote to impose is actually the toughest sanctions against Kim Jong-un's regime since the Clinton administration relaxed the Reagan and George H.W. Bush sanctions back in the 1990s. The committee sending the letter has been moribund for almost 20 years, and Kim probably resuscitated it to provide a means of communicating with the outside world, because he doesn't do that very well. It's unlike our government. They've got one story and they stick to it. Look, the new Progressive Republic of Korea government and the United Nations are very likely to seize on this letter as an opening to press for a dialogue with Kim and tell the USG to back off on tightening the screws on the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. In other words, they want to give peace a chance. And that's a song, Melissa, we've been hearing repeatedly for 3 generations of the Kim dynasty. It never worked.
Yeah. So what do you make of Vladimir Putin's sudden involvement on that front?
Well, look, Putin is no fool, and Putin, just like the regime in North Korea, can speak with one voice throughout his so-called administration. His regime does the same thing. The problem is that the joint venture that's been going on now for years between Iran and North Korea is going to continue unabated. Every time you stop to talk, they continue to build nuclear weapons and the means of delivering them. The record of wait and see is not good, and Kim now has 4 American citizens jailed. We ought to be calling them hostages, because that's what they are. They're taken as human shields and as possible negotiating chips. If Kim really wants to show what he's up to and wants to have a dialogue about getting rid of his nukes, and that's exactly what Secretary of State Tillerson has been saying he's got to do, he needs to, 1, release the Americans he's holding illegally, and number 2, open it up for UN inspections. Let's see what they've got and make sure that they don't do any more and get the ones that are there out of it. And they can have a very, very prosperous economy if they do that.
Yeah. What do you think is the likelihood of that, and then what is our response?
I would not bet on it myself, because that's worse than the Kentucky Derby. I mean, the odds are not good. Look, President Trump has done the best he can to raise the stakes on Kim by getting the Chinese to tighten the screws. Nothing like what the House is going to do. And the bottom line of it, the only real leverage on North Korea is China. Unless the Chinese are playing ball, it's not a winning game.
Colonel North, thank you. Bleak, but thank you.
Truth hurts sometimes.